Hello there. Today it's our great pleasure to bring you Kong Do, CEO of BioVie. BioVie trades on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol BIVI. Kong, thank you for being with us today.
Great. Thank you for having me back. It's great to be here.
It is always great to have you, Kong. BioVie just presented to the 16th Clinical Trials on Alzheimer's Disease, CTAD, event in Boston. What can you tell us about the new data your team just presented at CTAD?
Well, our clinical trial just completed, so we are now still in the process of verifying data and so forth for the unblinding later on this year. But as of now, we do have blinded data that mixes in patients that are on drug as well as those who are on placebo. And the blinded data that we presented suggests that our drug candidate, NE3107, is biologically active and may have an impact on cognitive, biomarker, and imaging endpoints for mild to moderate Alzheimer's patients. To first start off, we looked at cognitive and functional assessments using scales in the industry known as ADAS-Cog, CDR-SB, MMSE, the alphabet soup there. But what we found was a very encouraging scattering pattern, whereby many patients got better and many patients got worse. Now, this would suggest to us that the drug is having an impact, because if there was no impact, you would see all the patients be lumped together in one group. And the second thing that we found very encouraging is that the improvements that we saw on one measure, such as ADAS-Cog, is correlated to the improvements that we see on all of the other measures, which would suggest to us that this is not some random effect, but it's actually a measure of the underlying improvement that the patients are experiencing. So that is really, really exciting first news.
Fascinating stuff, and congratulations on your progress, Kong. I understand that you also presented some very interesting and unexpected findings in addition to what you just talked about. Could you give us some more information, please?
Yes, we had a very exciting and unexpected finding that's related to our mechanism of action. Now, our drug candidate, NE3107, blocks inflammation by reducing the production of something called TNF-alpha, which in turn should block the production of the amyloid precursor protein, which would lead to the buildup of amyloid plaques. Now, the part that we found unexpected and exciting is that after just 6 months of treatment, we found a significant reduction of the amyloid burden amongst the patients that were in our trial. Right? This is exciting because we found that about a third of the patients who were amyloid positive at the beginning of the trial ended up being amyloid negative by the end of the trial, as measured by a blood test that we used. And we corroborated the blood test by using PET imaging as well. So we hope to see this. We did not expect to see it in such a short period of time. So we're really excited to see this result with just 6 months of treatment.
Tell us, Kong, did patients in this trial experience any other symptoms or benefits?
Yes, Craig. We also looked at a number of other psychiatric metrics as well. And across the board, we saw improvements in depression, anxiety, irritability, and sleep amongst those patients that were reporting it. So that, again, somewhat reinforces what we know about the molecule, but it's very exciting to see it in the data from such a large trial.
Kong, BioVie previously reported data from its Parkinson's trial that met both primary and secondary objectives. What can you tell us about that trial, and what are the next steps?
That trial showed that patients who were treated with NE3107 and the standard of care, which is a drug levodopa, experienced significantly greater motor control than those who were treated with just levodopa alone. We are now finalizing the treatment protocol for that, whereby we want to develop it first-line therapy as monotherapy. And since our experts are truly excited about what we found in our ability to help patients get out of bed in the morning, that may sound very, very strange, right? But as you may know, levodopa has a very short half-life, which means that many Parkinson's patients wake up in the morning with their muscles very stiff. They cannot control their muscles and cannot get out of bed, whereas about a third of the patients treated with 3107 were able to have motor control. So we're looking forward to launching the phase 2b/3 trial early part of next year for Parkinson's to take this development forward.
Let us turn now to yet another very promising area for BioVie, that is refractory ascites. Kong, your asset, BIV201 for refractory ascites, reduces fluid buildup and has the potential to become the first therapeutic for this disease, a condition with a 50% mortality rate within 12 months. Can you tell us more about this trial and the unmet need your drug would address?
Yes, refractory ascites is just a horrible, horrible condition. At the end, it's end-stage liver disease. Patients, when they get to this stage, have a 50%, that's 50% mortality rate within 12 months. And our drug candidate, BIV201, has the potential to become the first therapy for this condition. We had a phase 2b trial underway that we terminated early. We terminated halfway through because we saw statistically significant data suggesting that BIV201 was reducing fluid buildup for these patients. And given the huge unmet need, we believe that the most responsible thing to do is to terminate the trial and to engage the FDA in a conversation for how we can move directly to phase 3. And we've been in conversations with the FDA, and we are now at the very, very end stages of that. We're very close to agreement with the FDA on the exact design of our phase 3 trial. We're finalizing the discussions of that with our experts in the next few weeks, and we hope to finalize things with the FDA well before the end of the year so that we can start this trial next year.
In summary, Kong, what is next for the company, and why should investors take an interest in BioVie right now?
Over the course of the next 30 days, we are in a position to reveal the results from our phase 3 trial in mild to moderate Alzheimer's. The blinded data we just presented at CTAD gives us great optimism for what we expect to see, hopefully right after Thanksgiving when we unblind the data. So that will be a major catalytic event for our company and hopefully a major advancement for the field. Right, and the 6 million Americans who unfortunately have to suffer from Alzheimer's. So this will be hopefully within the next 30 days, a major time event for the company and the community.
Thank you for your time today, Kong. It's always a pleasure to hear the BioVie story.
Thank you, Craig, for having me back. Right, great to be here.